Please consider becoming a patron of MythVision Podcast. You'll get early access to every video, including this amazing one, and you can ask me personal questions, private message me, anything you'd like. Professor John J. Collins, here we go. This is a question from my friend. He posted this on my Patreon. I can't remember his name. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. What is Dr. Collins, or Doctors Collins and Baden's opinion regarding the cult of Asherah, a female deity worshipped mainly in the rural areas, who was possibly considered the wife of Yahweh? This is a position advanced by Dr. William Dever and is based on archaeological discoveries of her figurines in areas where Yahweh worship occurred. More detail, of course, is discussed there. So, Asherah?
Well, Asherah was certainly worshipped. There are two famous inscriptions that talk about Yahweh and his Asherah. Now, some people said, "Oh, that just means a figure, a pole," because apparently Asherah was represented by some kind of a tree or a pole. But Yahweh, it's not Yahweh and his pole; it's Yahweh and his Asherah. And if it is a pole, it represents the goddess. So, sure, in the period of the First Kingdom, there were people who thought Yahweh had a wife. I think Dever is quite right on that. Was Asherah then represented in the temple? Well, you hear of people making garments for Asherah. There was some kind of representation of Asherah in the temple compound. I think this was one of the things that Josiah cleared out. After that, you get the figurines for a while, and if a king suppresses the cult of a goddess, you don't expect everybody to drop it overnight. But I think by the time you get into the Second Temple period, it seems to have pretty much died out.
Interesting.
But I don't doubt that, yes, you did have a goddess.
God had a wife.
Yeah.
God had a dad.
Yeah.
And there's an interesting...
He had a family life.
Yeah. This brings me to a follow-up in this vein. Two things. Elaine Pagels mentioned that there's a Gnostic, if I could use the term, phrase where Yahweh is saying, I'm a jealous God and there's no other gods beside me. Yeah. And then his mother... His mother gets angry at him in the Gnostic writing. I don't know who this was that wrote it, but his mother's mad at him like, hey, hold on. You're not the only God. Like, there are other gods. That I just thought I'd mention that. You probably aren't aware too much of the material. It might be non-commodity.
Not that much, yeah.
And then the other question that I had in the vein of this whole discussion of God and his family and things like that, it sounds very human, but a heightened human kind of idea.
Yeah.
This brings me to euhemerism, because I have been wondering, is it possible, and you notice how I phrase that because I don't expect you to be dogmatic, that if we go back far enough, there was a man who might have been a mighty somebody in the tribe or whatever it might be, that potentially mythologized to a point where we're lost to history this legend of a Yahweh, like a Hercules was once...
I mean, lots of things are possible, but I don't see any reason to believe it.
Do you know any characters that might have?
No.
Like, who?
No. I said I don't. The high gods, generally speaking, do not seem to have been human beings. Now, you have people like Gilgamesh, may have been a historical king who then becomes regarded as some semi-divine. I think in Greek mythology you have a lot of human beings who get divinized, sort of. But I don't think Zeus or Baal or Yahweh were ever thought to have been human beings.
Interesting.
Why do people believe in this? Well, powers in nature especially, that just seem much greater than anything humans can control. A lot of these high gods are storm gods. And it's the lightning and thunder that put the fear of God into people.
This final thing, Genesis 6, sons of God, daughters of men, etc. Jewish rabbis and people that I'm friends with even, who I take a totally different position on many things, they want to argue this is the line of Seth and Cain. And I would like to maybe have you as an expert in this material to kind of tell us what's really happening, because it sounds like these are supernatural deities, especially if you look at the backdrop of Ugaritic text. You see these Apkalim, you see these diviners that come down to teach humanity these things, but they're naughty in the biblical text. It's a polemic. That seems to fit the context to go, duh, sons of God aren't humans. They're not just noble men or really mighty humans. Can you take us into that issue and like show us why this isn't the line of Cain, line of Seth, human line here going on?
You mean the sons of God in Genesis 6?
Right.
Well, I mean, what the account in the Bible says is that these are people who come down from heaven. And, people who shouldn't be having relations with human women. So why would you want to say they're sons of Cain and anything else? I mean, that's just discounting. Nobody seriously thinks that this account is historical. It's myth, legend. But it's no point to demythologizing it.
Yeah, there's so much like detail they try to get into. So thank you.
Yeah.